Welcome to On This Day, where we look back at the moments that made history, one day at a time. From major world events to the weird and unexpected, every date has a story. So, what happened on 18th of June? Let's find out. June 18th is one of those dates where the history books feel extra thick. It's seen decisive battles, legendary speeches, cultural milestones, and even a few strange headlines that'll make you do a double take. Whether it's Napoleon's final stand or the birth of a Beatle, this day proves that history doesn't take the summer off. Let's begin with 1815, the Battle of Waterloo. Napoleon Bonaparte, one of history's most brilliant but controversial generals, met his defeat in Belgium at the hands of the British and Prussian armies. It wasn't just a military loss, it marked the end of an era for Europe. After escaping exile and briefly reclaiming power, this was truly Napoleon's last stand. The phrase, "meeting your Waterloo"? Yeah, this is where it comes from. Fast forward to 1940, Winston Churchill delivered his legendary Their Finest Hour speech to rally Britain during the early days of World War II. Facing Nazi Germany's advances, Churchill's powerful words were a call to resilience. It wasn't just a speech, it was a moment of national defiance. And it's still quoted today whenever someone needs a good morale boost. Now, over in 1983, history was made above Earth's atmosphere. Sally Ride became the first American woman in space. At just 32, she boarded the Space Shuttle Challenger and launched into orbit, instantly becoming a symbol of possibility and progress. Her mission wasn't just about science, it was about showing young girls everywhere that they belonged in space, too. June 18th also brought the U.S. into a major war, the War of 1812 to be exact. On this day, the United States officially declared war on Britain. Why? A mix of maritime tensions, trade disputes, and territorial ambition. The war would drag on for over 2 years, and while it didn't dramatically change borders, it did help forge a stronger sense of American identity. Let's bring it back to pop culture. In 1942, Paul McCartney was born in Liverpool, England. That's right. Sir Paul, the musical genius behind much of the Beatles' success. With unforgettable melodies, legendary albums, and a career still going strong, McCartney isn't just a rock star, he's a cultural force. And speaking of innovation, back in 1948, Columbia Records introduced the LP. That's the long-playing vinyl record. With this game-changing format, albums could finally stretch out with more songs per side. It revolutionized how we experience music, giving artists room to experiment and fans something to flip over, literally. Let's head to Vienna, 1979. U.S. President Jimmy Carter and Soviet leader Leonid Brezhnev signed the SALT II Treaty, what's a big step in Cold War diplomacy. It aimed to limit strategic nuclear weapons and ease tensions between the two superpowers. It wasn't perfect, but it was progress in a time when mutual distrust was the norm. Over in 1967, the Jimi Hendrix Experience released their debut album, Are You Experienced, in the US. It was unlike anything else. Wild guitar work, trippy lyrics, and a sound that helped define a generation. Hendrix didn't just play guitar, he bent it to his will. And this album, it's the reason so many kids picked up a Stratocaster. rewinding all the way to 1812 again. But across the Atlantic, the United States wasn't just declaring war. It was flexing its muscles as a young nation. The War of 1812 included famous battles, the burning of the White House, and a moment when the national anthem was born, all sparked on this exact day. Let's take a literary detour. On June 18, 1928, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to fly across the Atlantic Ocean as a passenger. Sure, she wasn't the pilot just yet, but it was still groundbreaking and set her on a path to become a legend in aviation just a few years later. Love discovering what happened on this day in history? Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Back to the timeline. In 1965, civil rights icon Martin Luther King Jr. visited the Vatican and met with Pope Paul VI. The meeting was short but symbolically powerful, a moment of unity between spiritual leadership and the global movement for human rights and equality. In 1982, tennis fans got a show as John McEnroe and Jimmy Connors faced off in the Queen's Club Championships. Their rivalry was fierce, fiery, and totally entertaining. McEnroe's temper was practically a co-star in these matches, and their battles brought tennis into the spotlight like never before. Now, let's look at a more artistic creation. In 2006, architect Santiago Calatrava unveiled plans for the World Trade Center Transportation Hub in New York. Designed to look like a bird in flight, it became a symbol of rebirth and resilience after the tragedy of 9/11. Love it or hate it, the structure is a bold statement, and one that began its story on this very day. Here's something a little less expected. In 1817, a German baron named Karl Dreiss introduced the world to the Laufmaschine, or running machine. Sounds intense, but it was actually the earliest form of the bicycle. No pedals, no gears, just two wheels and a seat. And just like that, human-powered travel got a serious upgrade. And finally, on June 18th, 1984, The Karate Kid hit U.S. theaters. A bullied teen, a wise mentor, and a crane kick that became cinema legend. Not only did it give us one of the most iconic movie moments ever, but it also introduced the world to Mr. Miyagi's life lessons. Wax on, wax off. That's what happened on 18th of June throughout history. Made it this far? Drop your favorite historical fact in the comments. Learn something new? Hit subscribe and come back tomorrow. You never know what the past has in store.